Hello.
Hey, is this Troy?
Yeah, can
Troy?
you hear me? Hello?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, barely. I've got my volume all the way up.
Um, I can hear you, but I can't see you. Do you have video access?
Oh, here we go. Hold on.
All right,
There we go.
there you are.
Now I can hear you better.
Awesome. Troy, thanks for taking some time to chat. I appreciate it. My name is Ben Beasy, and I human resources and recruiting at Banyan Construction. So you'd applied through Indeed, and you had a traveling super / project manager position you'd applied for. So I just wanted to kind of follow up with you with your resume and application, and just wanted to share a little bit about the job, about us, company, and about the position, and then want to hear from you about what you're currently doing, what your experience, what you're looking for, kind of goals moving forward. So, got any questions? Feel free to ask.
Okay.
So, Banyan, we are a small to mid-sized commercial GC. Primarily what we do is we have really kind of developed partnerships with franchisee owners. A lot of franchisees within the Sola Salon Studios franchise. We're working with Houndstown USA. It's like a doggy daycare company, and then What House Day Spa. And so kind of that, we're like that, wanting to be that beginning to end, like site survey, creating site surveys for owners and potential sites all the way through turnkey and, warranty and aftercare. And so we kind of do all that in between, kind of have our own system of how we operate that as far as the project management side of things. We have much more of a team aspect and mindset for construction team that does a lot of the front end stuff, does all the permitting and plans and design and creating the scopes and budgets and getting the main subs lined up for the job and kind of create a handoff package for the super. That way the superintendent, has hit the ground running, get the main subs lined up. The superintendent then kind of takes on kind of a hybrid role of super / project manager, because the superintendent will be overseeing, the coordination of the subs and the schedule. We'll be responsible for finding other subs for the trades as the project goes on. And so it's kind of a hybrid role with that. But we're looking for someone. Our office, we're located outside of Indianapolis, Indiana, in Brownsburg. We build nationwide. We build in about 28 states. And so position you applied for, it's position on the road for weeks at a time. So I wanted to, it looks like you live over in Illinois, so you're probably not too far from where we are. So if you got any questions, feel free to.
Outside Chicago.
I'm sorry, what, outside Chicago? Yeah. So eager to learn more about you. If you want to share about yourself, if you got any questions, shoot away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've been in construction since 2000. And I started with a guy, who had his own company and basically learned everything residential. He had quite a few commercial jobs that we did as well, basically build outs and everything like that for mortgage companies, salons, everything to that effect. And then I ended up branching off into my own business in 2008, in which I did a lot of residential and then also commercial as well, build outs as well. And then primarily came to about maybe 5 years ago, started working subcontracting with a buddy of mine, and basically he was a GC, and we did a lot of McDonald's, we did Panera's, remodels, build outs of dental offices, remodels of bars and restaurants all around Chicagoland.
Oh, cool.
And me and a buddy of mine, Rodney, we worked together, and we were basically the supervisoring role. So we would have to coordinate, with the different subs and everything to that effect, which I've dealt with over my obviously since 2008 with my own business,
Yeah.
with remodeling in houses and everything like that, scheduling when they should show up and when I had to be there and everything to that effect. So I'm kind of at the point where I want to, work for someone else. And basically, I mean, I've got all the tools to be able to do all this, but I'd rather supervise it. And I mean, if necessary, yeah, I can help,
Yeah.
but for the most part, I mean, I've been doing this for quite a while and I'm just kind of done with my own business. And, my mom died probably like 2 years ago. And I've lived in Illinois all my life, and and I swore that the only thing that was keeping me here was my mom. And from here on out, I mean, I'd just like to travel. I'd like to see the country,
Yeah.
and I'd like to, I'd like to work while I'm doing it. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I think you guys would be a perfect fit, and I would be a perfect fit because, I mean, I have no wife, I have no kids, I have no
Mhm.
dog, so it's
Yeah.
like, I mean, it's like the perfect opportunity for me. I mean, the
Yeah.
only thing, I mean, I've got to wait till like my brother's divorce to shore some stuff up with the house that we live in and everything like that. But that I can deal with, on the road, and I have no problem being away for however long.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, my eventual plan is to leave Illinois anyway, just because, the taxes and everything to that effect. So
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
kind of ridiculous. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I've got the experience supervising in, commercial and, residential. And, and like I said, I've done, all the way from, where it's already set up and every build, just a continual build out of the whole project. And
Yeah.
then, I did it quite a few times with the McDonald's and the Paneras and everything to that effect. And, so that's kind of, I mean, I just like to, it's an opportunity and it'd be a great one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like on so were you basically hired as a subcontract project manager, kind of on contract for your buddy, designed by Jeffrey, is that right? So you kind of oversaw the
Correct.
projects themselves.
Correct. And
Yeah.
me and him had kind of a falling out. He's kind of done this to a lot of people where he sat there and there's, if you look on my resume under the, my references, there's Rodney. He actually worked with me through that. And basically, I mean, the guy's just screwed people out of money. The Jeffrey did. So it's just kind of like I don't really want to talk to him anymore, and I don't, don't want to deal with him. But yeah, I mean, me and Rodney basically took over the supervisory role in in a lot of his projects,
Yeah.
and he'd be off, going somewhere else or out of town or whatever, and spending his money, and it's just ridiculous. So,
Yeah.
but now I've been kind of helping out with Rodney with another guy, and and doing the subcontracting and everything to that effect. But basically, we've primarily taken the supervisory role in the whole thing.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, the primary function of the superintendent is to really obviously be that supervisor, coordinator of the subs and, maintaining the job site, overseeing quality, scheduling, staying within budget. There are times where it's really helpful for um, guys who have experience in with the trades and can
Yeah,
jump in and help out to keep something moving. It's very beneficial, right? Guys who aren't afraid to get their hands dirty. And so,
yeah,
not that,
yeah.
it's an all the time deal, but yeah, being in that position
We
definitely
had
gives you a leg up.
whenever we did the McDonald's and Paneras and some of the other jobs that we did, we had that too. The
Yeah.
supervisor had no problem jumping in just to make sure if anything was going bad. Like if one guy, I mean, he was just a constant sweeper. He
Yeah.
wouldn't. If you left dust behind you, like all of a sudden he was right there with a broom. You know what I mean? So I mean, I
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
and kind of got annoyed with it. It's like, it's not cleanup time, and it's like, but I mean, it was what it was. I mean, he made sure everything was clean, and and he always gave advice and everything to that effect too. So
Yeah. Cool. I, as your, as a business owner, did you have any employees under you, or did you have
I,
subcontractors that you just hired subbed out, or what all kind of capacity was your company?
I hired out like laborers and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
most of the stuff, like I did a lot myself, like electricians and plumbers. Obviously, we had to use licensed and everything to that effect. I
Right.
mean, I know how to do electrical, I know how to do plumbing, but if it was if it was permitted, it needed a license one.
Yeah.
So, but for
Oh,
the most part,
yeah. How much? Yeah.
lights and stuff like that, you don't have to pull a permit for. So, like, light fixtures and everything to that effect. So it's like I've done
Right.
them
Yeah.
times,
All right. Cool. Um,
and
how
then other
many
times, I guess subs.
subs? Yeah. Okay. Gosh, how many? Do you have any idea how many commercial build outs or restaurant or retail remodels or anything you've done over the years?
Um, I'd have to say in the 30s or 40s.
Yeah. Cool. Have you done ground up or primarily build outs or what all?
It was mostly build outs and then remodels
Remodels, yeah.
and everything. Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool.
I mean, ground
Cool.
ground up. I mean, I'm sure I could figure out how to do ground up,
Right.
and I mean, I could do reading on it and everything to that effect. So,
Yeah.
but I'm not.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
primarily what we do is the build outs. So sounds good. So you started out doing some residential and then some. It looked like you had done some commercial work early on, right? When you were with Nordic, and then
Correct.
okay, cool. What about the any employees or subs that worked for you, you worked with? What kind of words do you think they would use to describe you?
Um, I think actually a good teacher, a decent, pretty good boss. I always paid them, made sure they were paid before I was paid. Um, I mean, I had to teach these guys how to do the stuff and how to do it properly.
Right.
So, and I mean, I had one guy. He was really happy, and unfortunately, he found something where he could make a little more money. Well, within 2 months, he was sick of that guy and wanted to come back to work for me. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, time I already had someone else. So it's
Yeah.
like the retention thing. I mean, it was what it was,
Yeah.
and but I mean, I was pretty fair to work for. I had, simple rules: don't show up drunk, don't show up high. I had one guy who, did that, and I kicked him off the job. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, it was what it was.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, it seems like within the construction industry, that's kind of one of those main rules you got to have posted up for the
I
job
know.
site.
But fortunately, you're right.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, do you have a like an accomplishment throughout your career, or something that you feel like was a big accomplishment that you're proud of?
Just the fact that I was able to learn as much as I could, and my ability to problem solve. And I mean, I've done a lot of projects that I'm really proud of.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've done additions and everything to that effect by myself. I mean, I did additions with Nordic originally, and then eventually ended up doing a couple additions myself, and a couple basement build outs myself, and a couple garages myself, and from bottom to finishing off the roofing.
Yeah.
So I mean, just the amount I learned and figured out, along the way is, very key for everything. So
Yeah. Yeah.
there's no
Have you
one
ever?
one big accomplishment, and because I mean, it's like no matter what, you're always still learning something every day. But you never know what you're going to come up against as far as any
Right.
problems or anything to that effect. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to be resourceful, right?
Exactly.
Always give me a problem that comes up. What do you what do you think your greatest weakness is?
Hmm. I don't know. I mean, I don't really feel like I have any. I mean, when I first started, yeah, I mean, it's just, but yeah, over the years, just learning and figuring out stuff myself, and I mean, I don't feel real weak as far as dealing with construction or anything to that effect. I'm not afraid of it. I'm not scared of it. I mean, I pretty much know, like if a pipe gets cut, you got to go shut off. Go to the shut off valve, turn it
Right.
off.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not. I'm not. I'm not afraid of anything construction wise. It's
Yeah.
it's a weird,
Yeah.
and maybe it's because I was in the Marine Corps for 4 years, and and that right there, is just you learn not to be afraid of stuff.
Right.
Just take 4 years.
Hmm. Yeah. So, um, yeah, I know sometimes people have different, personality types, right? Some people will be much more like, some people are like the person who goes and gets something done. One person will be the one who kind of the dreamer, like, hey, I got this idea, and somebody needs somebody to help organize it, that sort of thing. And so I guess just like as far as weaknesses, maybe there's an area in your personality where you're like, well, this is something that I could do better, whether it's something within that or it doesn't have to be specifically construction related, but I was just curious.
Yeah, no,
Sometimes guys will be like, oh, I take on way too much. And be like, okay, yeah, that's easy to say, but what happens when you take on too much? You generally become a jerk and you mean to everybody,
no, completely. I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean, there was one time I did take on. There was probably I was running 4 jobs at one time, and this
Yeah,
was just by myself with a few other guys and everything to that effect. Where I'd have someone doing something at one job, someone doing something at another job, and then me at another job. And
yeah,
that was kind of a little too much. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Just because of the fact that 4 projects at once, when it's just me and 2 other guys, it was kind of yeah, that was a little too much.
yeah,
But if I've got the personnel and everything to that effect to work with, yeah, I mean, I'd be able to run it all day.
yeah,
If I don't have to worry about someone and have someone calling me, oh, I did this. Oh, hey, I accidentally, instead of stepping on a joist, I stepped on the drywall and my leg went through. And you know what I mean?
yeah.
It's
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
trying to put out fires in too many places. Yeah, that's one thing. But if you've got the personnel and you don't have to worry about it, then that's another thing.
Yeah, yeah, cool. Awesome. What questions do you have for me?
So you said it's pretty much like 28 states, and that's basically on stateside, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, no Alaska, no Hawaii. All right.
Nope. Nope. Yeah.
Let me know when you expand to Hawaii. I'd be all about that.
I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Depends on the time of year for Alaska too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. No, we
right.
do.
No.
We do a lot in. We do really throughout, expanding quite a bit, but the bulk of most of what we had done historically has been um, in the Northeast and East
Okay.
Coast, and then the Midwest. But we also built quite a few in Florida and Georgia, and we got some going on in Texas and Arizona. But throughout the Midwest and even Colorado, Kansas, and then West Coast as well too. We've done some stuff in Chicagoland as well. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
I mean, that's about the extent of my questions. I mean, obviously, it'd be great to travel. I mean, like I said, I'd like to see the rest of the country. Seen quite a bit of it, but I've seen a little bit of the world, but yeah, it'd be great.
yeah. Generally we have we got a few guys who, they basically sold their house and they got an RV and they're just traveling and seeing the country as they go along from place to place. So
That's kind of where I'm heading.
yeah. Yeah, if you can
Probably
get it.
the next year or two, that's probably where I would be.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. I was gonna see, do you as far as availability and time frame, you said you had some stuff going on there with, I think, your brother or something of that nature. I didn't know, like, when would a start
That
date be?
that I can deal with without being here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically just only thing you'd basically be doing is setting up an estate sale person to come through, clear out the house, sell everything, and then obviously me and my brother would split it, and then we just figured out who's going to buy each other out of the house, and I mean, and that stuff can all be done remotely. And then, like whenever, if next year I get a week off or whatever, come back home, I set everything up to rent and I hire a management company and they just deal with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or I've got
What?
cousins that I can even hire out and pay them to set the place up, you know?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
there is nothing that would hold me back at all. The only other thing, I mean, I've got one job that I'll be probably finished with by the end of next week.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering if are you doing your own thing right now? TS
Yeah,
Construction?
now because they had planned to do more restaurants coming up, but I kind of told them, I'm like, look, if I get a job, I mean, I'm not going to do it. I told them, yeah, because I guess the 30th they had a McDonald's set up, and then we had a Panera and another McDonald's right after that. And I told them, I said, if I get a job, and it is what it is, I'm going to take the job,
Yeah.
because it's just, being without work, it just, it's not good.
Yeah.
So
So sorry, designed by Gregory. Did you end there?
that was basically probably the beginning of the summer. And
Okay.
then, but there was another guy, his old partner
But Rodney, you
that,
said?
no, Rodney was the guy who worked with me, but Jeff's old partner
Oh,
was a
okay.
guy, Brian Cleveland. He kind of took over the McDonald's things. And so we did a Panera and a McDonald's with him
Oh,
as
okay.
well. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, all right. If we were to do training just for understanding this one I think we got a training planned for a new hire, new superintendent on the 23rd of January. Would that be something that you'd be able to be doable if everything was to work out, like offer wise and everything?
Yeah.
Okay. Because yeah, that would be the end of next week, I think, and then that weekend would be weekend of the 21st and the 2nd. So okay.
Okay.
All right. Let me see if I got any other questions before we jump off here. It looks like your salary range listed is right. We're right kind of where we are, so I think that's good. I don't know anything else. So, oh, here I got one. I love asking this question. What kind of pet peeves do you have, or what really annoys you?
um, I'd have to say ignorance and arrogance.
Ignorance and arrogance. What is it about those that
Well,
well, yeah.
it's kind of like when when you're arrogant about something that you think you know and you absolutely have no idea what you're talking about, that it's kind of like it's a pet peeve. It's like my brother. He's kind of like one of those guys who thinks he knows everything, and yet he absolutely has no clue about anything. Because, I mean, it kind of is what it is, and he's kind of my biggest pet peeve. So,
Family.
oh, I know. But I mean, really, that's the biggest thing. It's just if if you don't know what you're doing, ask a question. You know, I've had to do it. I've had to suck it up. Over the years with anything I've done. If I had a question, just ask. And that was one thing the guy, Mike, that with Nordic, basically taught me. He taught me straight out from the beginning. He's like, if you have a question, don't hesitate to ask. There's no dumb question. And and then and I've had guys who sat there and started doing stuff on their own, and it's like, you don't know what you're doing. Don't start something you can't finish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's kind of one of the things that really just irks me.
Yeah. It's frustrating when people are ignorant. It's frustrating when they're arrogant. It's really bad when they're ignorant, arrogant people who. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it sounds like you value. I mean, you said you feel like the guys that worked with you or for you, that you would be, they think you'd be a good teacher to teach them how to do things. So it sounds like you kind of come from a perspective of, be teachable, right? There's always something to learn. I think I heard you say that a little earlier. So those are definitely good things to have. So you guys, have you used any like project management software, or what have you used as far as your jobs and running those and doing that sort of thing?
I mean, I always had. I come from the old school where we didn't have project software, and basically, I mean, I utilized, a contract of my own where I would basically come up with the bid on paper and figure that all out, figure out the materials, figure out the labor costs, and then basically, email it straight to the customers
Yeah.
and do that effect. Now, I mean, I'm pretty computer literate, not illiterate, literate.
Yeah.
So looking up on something like that would not be difficult at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, technology is a pretty big part of what we do. There's an app or a website for like expense reporting. So you basically take pictures of your receipts and it syncs to the company credit card, and then you code those, that sort of thing. And then we use Builder Trend, which is used for, the scheduling of the jobs, and there's selections lists on there, information and all that. So but yeah, I was just curious. Gosh, I don't think I got any other questions,
Okay.
but I definitely appreciate you taking the time to chat with me.
Okay.
It's been a pleasure. I'll be sure to pass our video call along with some notes and your resume over to our director of construction for review, and then kind of just go from there. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, Troy. Bye.
All right, have a good day.